Welcome to the BadBloodPodcast. Got another special guest today, professional boxer Nathan Russo. Going to introduce a couple of sponsors and that first before we get into it. We're brought to you by always, and as always, by Mr. Bloom's Black Seed Oil Mechanics. Check out the Facebook page. Absolutely great product. Very healthy product, good for losing weight, anxiety. It just basically, read up on the health benefits of black seed oil. It's super beneficial. It's mint, man, proper mint. We're also brought to you by the biggest band that will we like to call pit fighting, because we like to separate ourselves from a certain company, but we're the biggest in Europe. Spartan BK FightClub. Our boss has actually been attending another guy's show, and they've got another one coming up soon, so we'll have more information on that. It's through a promotion called Pandemic Promotions. They had a very successful first show, so we'll be definitely bringing you some interviews, footage, and probably get another all-round perspective from Christian on that promotion as well. And there's another one we brought you as well. It's actually forgotten this one. In fact, Matty, that's it. Your turn, pal.
I'm in. We've got a big shout out to SupremeCBD. It's the CBD company that it gives you the bombs, vapes, the oils. I mean, the company hasn't got a bad review at all. And they just change lives. Their products are so beneficial. It's insane.
Fantastic ambassadors as well.
We've got a discount code for you. It's BadBlood666. That's bad with a capital B and blood with a capital B. BadBlood666, and that's 30% off your order. So get over there and spend some money. I wanted to give another shout out to Steve Stone over at the Governor Sports and Nutrition. It's got all your sporting supplements, your proteins, stuff like that, training clothes, fibre, and also they've started doing the Spartan range, so get over and check that out. But also in association with Northern Sports Marketing. What Northern Sports Marketing do is they sort out the business side of boxing so the athletes can focus on their career. Big shout out to Northern Sports.
Nathan, how are you doing, pal?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
No, it's not a problem. I thought we're sponsored by Northern Sports Marketing. We know you're man. You've got some sort of tie with them. I was intrigued by the show that you could be possibly fighting on, or are you fighting on with the cruise ship? Is it about coming up in October? Is it?
No, right. So I've got a fight in Scotland.
Right.
October the 17th.
Right, that's what I was getting mixed up. Sorry.
Yeah, which is it's fine. Which is the Behind Closed Doors, which is live on Fight.tv.
Right.
I think they have some bare knuckle as well. Actually, I'm not sure. I think they do. It's only £5 for the pay-per-view, so it's better than paying Buddy £25.
Right. Might as well watch it over the telly or something.
Yeah. But then next year, I had it finalised, not yesterday, day before. I'm fighting on the first ever boxing show on a cruise ship, which I get flown out to Miami. I jump on a cruise ship at Miami and I sail out to the Bahamas.
Wow.
That sounds amazing.
How did that come about?
That's going to be an experience of a lifetime, not like.
Yeah, well, my manager, Paul Pierce, is actually fighting Floyd Mayweather's brother, Justin Mayweather.
Oh, right.
So,
crazy stuff. That's that.
I know, well, apparently recording my old Butterbean again on the cruise ship and stuff like that, so it's going to be fantastic.
That's brilliant, that, like.
That's crazy. That's unreal.
Have you got an opponent picked for that fight?
Yes, I'm fighting a Mexican, so he's going to be a tough little bugger. Called Edgar Ortega. He's won 18, lost 11, drawn 2. In February this year, he fought for a WBF world title.
Right, so he's well experienced in the ring then.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good fight to look through then.
Oh God, yeah, I can't wait.
So how did it all come about? Like, obviously, how was your path into boxing?
didn't really have the most conventional path. Obviously, I started out in the amateurs, and I had 85 amateur fights, won 55, lost 30. I boxed for England 10 times. Then my last fight, amateur, actually represented Staffordshire. I was the captain, and we went over to Denmark, and I got pulled against the best lad in Denmark, and there was 8 lads in my weight class, and because he was in it, they all dropped out, and they asked me if I was dropping out. I said, no chance, I'm still fighting. I'll fight anyone, I'm not scared of no one.
That's the way you've got to be in this game, mate.
Well, to be honest, there's too many people that try to have padded records. I don't want that. I want hard fights.
The best of the best.
Exactly. So obviously this lad fought. I think he'd had 55 at the time. He'd won 45, lost 2, and he'd knocked out 37 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cracking little fight of him.
It was alright. I think he was trained by Michael Kesley. But in the fight, I was winning 8-3 on points, and he kept pushing my head down.
Yeah.
And the referee warned me for me putting my head down, which wasn't me, he's Danish ref, but he's one of things. And then second round, I got deducted points, but I was up 8-3. I deducted, I got a point deducted, and then the lads were watching the scorecard, and it went from 8-3 to me to 3-8 to him.
Wow.
I ended up losing, was it 12-6 on points?
That's rough, that.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, so that was me. That was the last fight. That was the final nail in the coffin for me with the amateurs. I'd had enough.
That seems to be the common theme with amateurs really getting sick with political, because it doesn't matter which way you look at it. These tournaments are politically influenced, because look at the Jamie Conlon situation at the Olympics. I mean, that was disgusting.
That was horrendous.
I mean, that's not just happening on an Olympic level. That happens all the way through.
In beginner fights, it's like. Oh God, yeah. It's like I got asked to represent the Midlands. Just after I won the nationals when I was 16. And says, right, you're fighting a lad who was in the weight class lower than you. I was like, right, okay, what's the point of that? I said, well, you're just doing it. So I had to go from 60 kilograms down to 56 kilograms in a week.
Wow.
So at the time I was getting school in my sweatsuit. And after every lesson I was emptying my sweatsuit, and I didn't eat for 4 days. I weighed in at 56, he weighed in at 59. Then I got battered. I was like, my mum said I looked green.
It's dangerous, that.
Yeah, very ridiculously dangerous. But I just kept on going. I've fought some top amateurs that become really good pros, like Rob Davis Jr.
Wow.
Yeah, I boxed Rob Davis Jr. In Crewe. I beat him by 1 point, which is quite good because he only lost 9 amateurs. And then I got absolutely murdered by him in Liverpool, which I hold my hands up and say he absolutely battered me. Yeah.
Humble man, you, Nathan. Not many people. A lot of people make excuses these days, but you know when you've been done in, haven't you?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely, 100%. My God, I was black and blue. He battered.
And what other top names are you fought in amateurs?
So I said Robert Davis Jr. fought Chad Gainey, who comes second to Glenn Foot in the prize fighter competition, but then retired. Because he broke his neck in a car crash. And then I boxed Tom Stalker from Liverpool.
Wow. England captain.
And I boxed Jeff Saunders.
Wow.
Yeah, I boxed it. He gave me a bit of a pasting, but my dad said I should have won, but I thought I got a pasting, but it's fine.
He is a talent, Jeff. Good talent, Jeff.
Yeah, he was a very good kid. Very, very good kid. Who else I fought? Paul, what's his name? Paul Smith. He was from Manchester. Paul Shaw, sorry, not Smith. Shaw, apologies.
Wow.
And then I fought, probably the best lad I fought was, other than Robbie Davis Jr., was Adam Little.
Wow, Adam Little.
From
Good
Manchester.
fighter. Very good fighter.
Yeah, he retired
he did.
from boxing, 18-2 record. So.
Oh, brilliant.
Wow.
So
Some top names, well schooled.
Pretty much the best.
Well, yeah, obviously I've been training with pros since I was about 12 or 13 years old, and when I was 17, obviously because I did the pro and the amateur coaching training, if that makes sense, at the same time, because I'd just kind of go in for a session once or twice a week with the pros when I wasn't at the amateurs. But I got taken up one weekend with Scott Lawton, if you've heard of him, from Stoke.
Can you repeat that, sorry?
I got taken up to Manchester with Scott Lawton, who's from Stoke, who fought Amir Khan.
Yes, Scott Lawton, I'm aware of Scott Lawton.
Scott was sparring someone called Carl Place, and then Carl Place's gym at the time was Terry Flanagan.
Oh, right, wow, terrible.
And I was 17, I think it was. I got put in with Terry Flanagan, and I sparred him for about 5 or 6 weeks, and every time I sparred him, I dropped him, and he won a world title. So
yeah, I did.
I've been in with Anthony Crowley. I've done a bit of sparring with Ricky Hatton. I've sparred quite a few good kids, to be honest.
What sport? How? I know this. I've got to ask this question. I know it's stupid, but I've got to just ask you the difference in quality when you're saying, like, I know no disrespect to the lesser names, but when you're sparring the likes of Ricky Hatton, Anthony Crowley, how different is that?
Do you know what? I got asked the same question when I picked up my meal prep off my sponsors earlier. Exactly the same question. And do you know what it is? It's like, so if you say you spine just one is just an average amateur boxer, and he hits hard, you think, oh, he's a bit heavy-handed. But then you've got someone who's like a world champion level or a top amateur, and he hits as hard as that average person, but he hits you, and you think, friggin' hell, I need to keep away from him. He really hits. I think it's just the crispness of the punches, and how the boxing IQ differs is amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was more alluding to, like the ring IQ. I mean,
he's oceans apart. He's like, but I'm quite lucky because I've got quite a good boxing IQ. Not that over the past few years I've used it, because I just tend to I've trained in gyms where I've been just turned into a brawler because I'm fairly heavy-handed. But because when I was sparring Terry Flanagan, my boxing IQ was high. I would box for England, stuff like that, and I gave him a pasting, but I was really calculated with it. I was picking my shots, and it was good. And my coach at times said, I don't think I saw Terry Flanagan in the middle of the ring once.
Wow.
So it's nice getting confidence like that.
It's good. It got to feed your confidence. It's got to make you feel good. You've got to thrive off that.
Yeah, but I've always been obviously kept firmly on my feet by all the coaching staff I've got around me, especially my mum and dad. Because if I ever went big-headed, I think I'd get a slap around the back of the head. Yeah, so I just take it as it comes. I spar, I do well, sound. If I don't do well, then whatever. It's just one of the things. There's another day. So that's just me. There's not many boxers that are like that, though. That are quite honest and stuff. But
it just shows how much of a sportsman you are, mate. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is, but sometimes...
Yeah, you're dead humble, like.
It's just me, you should have been brought up. It's just... it's like you get a lot of boxers that are really big and, I'll beat him, it's like, nah. Yeah. If someone said to me, would you fight, I don't know, Vasyl Lomachenko, I'd be like, nope. Unless I was getting a massive payday. Because I'd get absolutely murdered. I know that full well. But it's just like, when you know your limits, but then I know when I get down to my normal weight, if my dad said it, no one will touch me.
So we've got stuff to... I've got stuff to look forward to, like...
Yeah, you have. It's going to take a couple ones to get down to my normal weight at 10 stone 7, because I seem to have filled out over the past couple of years, so... Yeah.
Is that where you feel most comfortable at, welterweight?
To be honest, mate, when I went for Team Pro, I failed my medicals on brain scans.
Right.
And I got passed by the hospital after 18 months of fighting. British Boxing Board, their doctor, is not qualified in neurology, even though he had the paperwork in front of his face and my scans saying that I was fit to box. he still said no. So I think I had about 18 months off from boxing. Then I got a phone call off of a good friend of mine actually in Stoke. He's probably the biggest bare knuckle promoter, I'd say, in the Midlands, and also semi-professional. Stefan Hanks. I don't know whether yeah, he's a very good friend of mine. He rung me. He goes, Nate. I was like, yeah. He goes, listen, get your horse in the gym. I was like, yeah. He goes, lose some weight. I've got you a fight. I can't fight.
Stefan, I had a bare knuckle on one of Stefan's shows, like, out of the borough.
Top bloke.
Aye. He actually is top man, actually.
Yeah, but he told me to get this fight, so he got me in the gym. I ballooned up from 9 stone 6 up to 12 stone in the space of about 9 months. And I was like, taking away some more. Great. But then he said, get this fight, and then I didn't really look back for about 4 years, and then, it was probably longer than that, but yeah, about 4 years actually. I ended up having 71 semi-professional fights. Won 68, lost 2, drawn 1, and I knocked out 61 opponents.
Crikey.
Point
to prove.
I did alright. But yeah, so it's just one of them. I went to turn pro with BB because I found a different route into it with the British and Irish Boxing Authority. I boxed a kid called James MacDonald in Liverpool in 2016, and I knocked him out in the first round, and I'll remember that night for the rest of my life because he was out cold 15 minutes. And then an old sparring partner of mine who was there, Derry Matthews,
oh wow,
come up to me and slapped me on the leg. He said, "Hey, you little so-and-so, why couldn't you wait till I sat down?" He had that red pants in his hand. I thought, oh God, yeah, so, and then obviously after that, my manager at the time said I can't get in fights because I had 5 fights lined up in the space for 8 weeks after that, and they all dropped out because some idiot posted my video online. So he says, listen, can't get any fights. He didn't even try. He went quiet for 6 months. So, and then I had another, I think we spoke about it, about 2.5, 3 years off, and came back beginning of last year with April last year with a knockout win. So,
brilliant.
Yeah.
See, it's sorry.
You can make a film. What's happened to me in boxing? You can make a film out of it, and you get an Oscar. It's ridiculous what's happened to me. In between that, I've battled mental health because I suffer with anxiety and PTSD from stuff that happened to me from when I was younger. And when I didn't have boxing anymore, it all kind of came to the surface, and I kind of self-destructed for a good while.
I was just going to ask, how was your upbringing?
Mate, I had a fantastic upbringing. I cannot fault my mum and dad at all. It was just 2 idiots when I was about 10 years old that did. Obviously, we won't really discuss it, but yeah, you end up going through court and all that, and I've suffered from PTSD and anxiety from it. But it never come to light until I failed my scans for boxing.
Right.
To turn pro the first time.
Right.
And then I went to counselling about 5.5 years ago. Got me counselling, got diagnosed anxiety and PTSD. Because after the court cases, I never got offered any counselling by the police or the courts, which is bad. So yeah, and I just kind of bottled it up, and I suppose I've used boxing as me therapy, and it still is. Yeah, joined by a lot of other people that do that as well, mate. Honestly, mate, it's boxing. I'm not saying there's a lot of people say like Tyson for all the big names, because mental health is a big thing in the big boxing world, but people don't realise that the little guys suffer from it as well.
Oh, huge, mate, massively.
So over the 3 years I had off, I'm honest about it because I'll never freaking do it again. But I tried to kill myself 4 times.
Wow.
Bless you, man, mate.
Just because I didn't have boxing more than anything.
Yeah. It saves lives, man.
It's because I just didn't feel like I had a purpose anymore. Because I thought, I was born to be a boxer and then it gets taken away from me. But now I'm helping people that are feeling like that. And it's such a nice feeling to have. It's just, so my mates will text me, I'm not feeling good, so I'll go around there straight away and So I'm out.
Top man.
So
Top man. You always look after your boys.
I look after anyone who gives me a bit of time, or who needs help, and that's just me. I've always been exactly the same.
How rewarding does it feel when you're helping?
Oh, but yeah, so it's just one of them things. It's just sometimes it's hard to get grips on. I have me down days and me up days, but luckily I've got my coach on the end of the phone. He says, if you're ever feeling down, you bring me and I'll come to your house.
Aye, your coach is more than just your coach.
Do you know what? He's like one of my best mates because you'll laugh at this, but I've known him since I was 11, and I boxed him 4 times in the amateurs. Boxed him 4 times.
That usually happens. I mean, look at it on a high level. Gatty and Ward, they become very good friends, really good friends. Even Corn had Gatty's fight.
On top of that, my manager, Paul Peters, I boxed Paul in the semi-pro game.
See?
And I stopped him in the first round, but
Boxing's a brotherhood.
It gives you people that will be in your life till the end, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because everyone's been in the same boat at some point in boxing.
Yeah, mate.
You can just kind of relate to things, and it's just like, I always speak to Paul from having a down day, or Andy, my coach, Andy Keats.
That's a style, mate. Mates is it?
Yeah, it's just brilliant, mate. It just helps me. It helps everyone.
It does. So, when you are going to the gym, give me a rough little rundown of what you would be doing. Talk me through some of the stuff you'd be doing in training.
Oh, God. Apart from pain.
No pain, no gain.
Exactly. Now, what I tend to do is we get the gym, we do skipping to start with, bit of shadow boxing. And at the moment, because obviously my training camp at the moment has lasted 17 weeks because I've had fights put back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because of all this corona, and it's doing my head in.
It's a nightmare.
Have you had a break? Have you had a little break recently? Because do you not think that could over-exhaust you?
Yeah, I had about 5 weeks ago, I had 2-3 days off, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm back in training. And the fight got put back again about 2 weeks ago. So I had 2 days off. And just that little bit of respite, mate, because I don't know people missing or anything like that, but the people that are missing, they don't realise what, obviously, professional fighters have to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The amount of friends I've lost because of boxing is ridiculous. I've got a very, very select number of friends, and sometimes they aren't even good at the best of times because they've got people text them and they're like, oh no, I'm doing this to my missus, so I'm fixing me flat on me and playing on FIFA.
It's a lonely sport, boxing.
Very, very
lonely sport, mate.
It's the loneliest place in the world, mate.
How would you spend your how do you recover? I mean, I know some athletes go through cryotherapy and do stuff like that. What do you do? Do you do any particular routines or any yoga type stuff like that for flexibility and stuff like that?
To be honest, I could do a Dean yoga because I've got the flexibility of a stick. But no, to be fair, what I do is I literally just stretch off after training, have a massage once a week, because money is really slim for me because I'm working full time, live on my own. My outgoings are quite high, so it's a bit rough because I've got 3 sponsors, and I want to get a free sports kit off Fuse Sports. Tom Quinn is an absolutely top guy, so if you ever want any sports stuff, get in touch with Fuse Sports and say I've recommended you because he's brilliant. I've got Hattons of London, who sell rare coins. They sponsored me £750 covering the medicals.
Wow.
And then I've got my mate's record company together. They just bought me a pair of custom gloves.
Oh, brilliant.
So yeah. So obviously got all these big pros. You've got all these sponsorships coming out their ears. I haven't. I'm having to pay for everything myself. And try and find a sponsor, especially in this climate at the moment, is the biggest pain in the arse ever.
Oh, I know that feeling.
So now, literally all my money goes on fuel, rent, council tax, water, gas and electric massages.
Wow.
Aye.
But see, this is why I think that something needs to be put into place. I mean, I don't know what your views are on all what's happening at the moment with the coronavirus and everything like that, but it's people. Like I was speaking to Steve Goodwin at the beginning of the first lockdown, and he was actually going through everything with me then, and what he said to me then is really resonating now. And it's people like yourself, like I say, I feel sorry for, because these boxers like just starting out who aren't on like a big TV deal and got a big platform. The money's not great, and the sponsors I've heard. I mean, at the beginning, of the lockdown, I had fighters like complaining to me because they had sponsors pulling out, and I was like, well, the companies are folding. It's not our fault. It's frustration builds up. How have you dealt with that during this time?
Well, luckily, I've got 3 fantastic sponsors behind me, and they've supported me all the way through. Obviously not financially, just like the director of Hattons of London. Basically, I was supposed to fight in April. COVID happened. He paid £840 for 2 tables, tickets. And my old manager at the time, who's a bit of a criminal, went live. Basically putting tiny writing in the middle of the tickets. So he's lost £840. So, and I've apologised, I've offered paying money back out of my own money. I've got fighting. He said, listen, you deserve to get your money, it's not your fault, your old manager was a crook. And all COVID's happened, so that's fantastic. You know, he's a top one performance. I've got a lot of time for massive respect to him. A few sports just keep it to every now and again, like, because he's just new shop, so he's a bit busy. So you don't know he's out from his side at the moment. And to get the record label, keep in touch with him. You know, once, twice a month to see how he is. He's actually currently writing a song for the entrance students next year, which is good.
Oh, you've got it.
So what else happened before? November last year, I was supposed to fight Nigel Ben versus Sakir Beaker undercard.
Wow.
And I had sponsors that were offering paying £180 a month for the fuel and stuff like that.
There you go.
And he had a £500 bonus per fight there because that was given on TV. As soon as that fight fell through, he pulled out.
Do you know the real? Sorry.
What were you saying, sir?
No, I was just going to say, why were you told that card fell apart?
Basically, Nigel Ben got an over injury, and he had been niggling me for a few weeks, and he was trying to train it off the foot. So he had to have the cortisone injections in his shoulder, and they didn't work because it's like an 80% chance to work. So he just pulled out. So he's 51, I don't blame him, if I'm honest with you. So, once that sponsor bought me a pair of new shorts for the fight, a pair of clean gel layers cost me £200 a pair, and a pair of new boxing boots. As soon as he pulled out, he had the shorts back off me with my name on, he had the boots back off me, he had the boots back off me. I had nothing.
It's shocking, that, mate.
He couldn't do anything with the shorts because he had my frigging name on, so... But you know, he was only interested in the TV deals, so...
Nah, you've got to be there. You've got to be there when the TVs aren't there. It's that simple. You've got to build some form of relationship. It's just that simple. You can't just allow in when they're on the TVs and stuff like that.
It's just like, what he's thinking to be in the limelight. Because he wants to be close.
on that note, how's your feeling on the recent rumours that Logan Paul could be fighting Floyd Mayweather? Does it not frustrate you? Does it not frustrate you?
Hey! Come on, Nate! Come on, Nathan! Hey, Bobby!
I just can't see the goal, the difference in that. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Nah, I'm with you on that. Like, I'm 100% with you on that. Definitely, 100%. The system's all wrong. It's that simple. It's broken badly.
The thing is, it's like boxing. Everyone's been saying it's a dying sport. It's a dying sport because it's becoming too much of a popularity contest. That's why. It's like gone are the days when you could put Sky Sports 1 on and you've got Saturday Fight Night on TV, which Frank Maloney used to do, which was free to watch. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm with you. It's very... I know what you mean because... them nights, I used to look forward to them nights. Friday fight nights as well, when we even just used to have the British title clashes on. Exactly. They were fantastic. Brilliant nights them. Some of the best nights I've sat and watched boxing, to be brutally honest.
Yeah. So like, I think Eddie Hearn is a great promoter, and Frank Warren, both great promoters. They are. But I think it's obviously because of how the world is anyway, everything revolves around money. And they've got more money than sense. Both of them have. Honestly, I know they pump it back into the boxing, but then they're making £25 per person. But then the TV channel that's the online streaming site they're putting our fights on, the more people we generate watching it, that's making our wage rather than Sky giving Eddie Hearn so much money for purses, and then they'll give him a percentage of the pay-per-view. Whatever people we get watching, that's all money. Do you know what I mean? It's just...
Wow.
It's just daft, but...
Honestly, I don't believe it's the weight classes that's killing boxing. I just believe it's an amount of titles that's in there. It's ridiculous. If we could get a model like the UFC, honestly, I'm not even joking. I think that would just be the best thing for the sport. Promoters would lose out, but it would be, as fighters, you would get your fights and you would get the competition. There would be no hiding from the fights that you would need, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, Joe, I totally agree with you. But on the flip side, how you've got to see it is you've got like the little guys like myself, and then you've got like the Vasily Lomachenkos, the golfing experience and fights. It means then, if I wanted a world title fight, I'm 28 now, I probably wouldn't be fighting for a world title till I was 37, 38, because of the amount of fights I'd have to have. Mm-hmm. And I feel that, I think there's that many world titles for the boxing because it's becoming more and more populated. Mm-hmm. Whereas, obviously, the MMA, should we say, you've got Bellator, you've got you've got UFC,
LFA,
you've got one, you've got all of them.
Yeah, so there's still different world titles, but they're just different sanctioning, different promotional companies, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's getting the same way because of the population is getting so much, and I think it's just to kind of give the guys that are a little bit lower down that opportunity to fight for a world title. Which I agree with, but then I still think that I don't know. I still think there shouldn't be as many, because I think there's about 8 or 9 different versions of the world title. I think they should keep it down to 4, maybe 5 max.
Definite. I love combat sports. I love boxing. Boxing was my first very passion. I love any form of raw combat, honestly, whether it be bare knuckle, whether it be UFC or anything. I think boxing needs to come up with something as a whole. Otherwise, in this next couple of years, next 10, 20, 25 years, I really could see boxing falling behind. Where even me looking at, because I've worked in boxing for 7, 8, 9 years, just behind the scenes, doing stuff for magazines and stuff like that, websites. We're behind in the ratings now. We're really, if promoters weren't so, I know they've got to make the money, but if they really wanted the best for the sport, honestly,
they drop the prices on the pay-per-view and they get it on terrestrial TV as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I see it. Because then that gives, like I say, I keep saying it, but it gives the little guys a chance to appear on TV. So if you've got boxing being shown on Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky Sports 1, BT Sport, Eurosport, and there's like 5 different shows going on, people can pick and choose what they want to watch, or they could flip between them if they wanted.
Yeah, I tell you who does a fantastic job in that mind and getting them on TV channels. Dennis Hobson, he does a fantastic job in doing stuff like that.
Yeah, he's doing all right, actually, and Hennessy, he's getting there as well.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
But me personally, I think they should drop the prices of the pay-per-view, because I had a look, I think it was middle of last year, at the ratings for the pay-per-view is shocking.
Yeah.
Like, you had I think it was the last Anthony Joshua pay-per-view only had about 190,000 people watching.
Wow.
Now, in a country that's got, 60 million people in it, that's absolutely awful. That's not even 10%.
I mean, Eddie Hearn said he was trying to kill the pay-per-view model in America. He's pretty much done that with the Zone. I mean, why couldn't he come up with something like that across here? Instead of us having to fork out like $19.95 each time there's a main card on or a pay-per-view on. I don't get that.
I think it's because America's the money country, and it's like
$70 for a pay-per-view is disgusting.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah,
it's I wouldn't be paying that. Like,
you know, the only promoter that I feel is trying to change something in boxing, I wouldn't say necessarily just the pay-per-view, just boxing in general, is Sauerland Promotions with the World Boxing Super Series.
They're giving he has done a really good job, because
he's putting the best against the best.
Yes, the format of the tournament at first wasn't it was frowned upon, but I like it. I loved the Super 6 back in the day with Carl Froch and Andre Ward and that. I thought that was a good model as well.
I agree. But I tell you one thing I do miss more than anything: prize fighting.
Oh, I miss that.
That's so good.
I miss that.
It's so good to watch 3 rounds of boxing. Boxers getting hell for leather for 3 rounds.
That would be ideal for you as well. To get in the prize fighter tournament would be good for you.
Yeah, well, to be fair, there was actually a tournament with Beaver going about for a bit, which Francis Warren from Warren's son put in. I don't think they do it anymore, but it was called Total Combat.
Right, I'm not familiar with that.
But the fight was in a 6-sided ring. Right, and you had 1 round. 1 round per fight. Right, but obviously it can go on from wherever, but basically how it started is you had a pot. So the electronic thing, you had like a pot to say the first fight was worth 25 grand. Every second, the time went down, the money went down as well. So the quicker you knocked them out, the more money you'd make.
Crikey.
And it worked out. It worked out if you got first round, if you got like knockouts in the first 30 seconds of every fight, it worked out you'd make between, I think it was 55 and 75 grand or something like that.
That's Mortal Kombat, not Total Kombat.
I think they only did about 3 tournaments of it, but I think that's a great way to do it. Not necessarily the 6-sided ring, but the format of it. That's saying to people, listen, if you want it, you go out and get it, because if you don't want it, you can get found out and you can lose. So, but then that also finds out who's the big hitter. You know, like obviously these people that got padded records, they've got people that will get paid to fall over. It's like, right, now you're in a tournament for big hitters. If you don't knock them out, you are not a big hitter. So he finds people out as well. It sorts men out from the boys, I like to say. But it's a bit of a touchy subject because there's that many ideas flying around, but nothing ever materialises.
That's it with boxing, though.
Exactly. It's like that Ultimate Box what Ricky Hatton did. I think he's only done about 4 shows of it, and that was good as well. But again, it's just kind of last year it kind of just fell flat on its face, didn't it? It was just.
Yeah, definitely. I do believe, like I say, because I know that the UFC they've bought, basically monopolised the MMA world. I just think something like that. I think that's why we struggle independently as like separate promoters and not being able to gather the money for to follow these tournaments through. The ideas are great, yes.
There's too many promoters in boxing. There's too many. It's like this dispute between Eddie and Frank Warren. Why not just merge the frigging two?
See, no, I was going to write an article on the state of the boxing for this lockdown and during this like pandemic, because something like you just said, that it would be good if these heads could get together and form a plan for. It doesn't have to be for the rest of. It doesn't have to be for years and years and years. Just say we're through the lockdown.
For a 12-month, 2-year period.
Yeah.
Just get everything out of the way. But I have actually seen on Twitter the past couple of days that Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren have spoken of the phone and they've arranged a meeting.
See, I haven't been active.
Which will be
good. Just them speaking is good, especially. That's just good in itself. Any like conversation or anything towards them two getting together has got to be good news, because the history is just terrible between them two.
Yeah, it's like I was reminiscing with my old man the other day. My dad goes, "Oh, can you remember when he used to rush home from boxing on the nights and go home and watch the Contender?" I was like, Christ almighty, yeah. Those kind of format tournaments are what boxing needs. They need them more often.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like 100%. Ultimate Fighter was the cage fighting version of Contender.
Yeah.
And look how good Ultimate Fighter's doing.
It's booming, that. It's
the two need a boxing version, like.
Yeah, it's just.
And then they actually keep it going.
Yeah, I know, but it's like he was changing. The thing is, though, I noticed they were only letting like people with like American heritage into Contender until Paul Smith went in from England, and then I think they only did one more Contender series after that, and it fell flat on its face. But Sylvester Stallone and Sugar Ray Leonard did more from boxing than promoters nowadays have done for a good while.
Aye.
We need stuff like that for boxing. Like I said, it's the fans I feel sorry for, because they never get the fights that they deserve. They're putting in the money and they get very little back. Very little back.
Exactly. They're putting in 25 quid for watch Anthony Joshua, and he's over in 3 rounds. It's like what? Yeah, and plus the undercard isn't frigging good at all. The undercards, usually when Andy Joshua fights, the undercard's not exactly fantastic. He's all about Andy Joshua, but it should be the top blokes against each other on shows like that, because that's when they can showcase the skills more than anything.
That's it. Like, definitely, I agree with that, 100%. Because when you've got the likes of a Josh, you know for a fine fact that the card's not going to be, what can I say? It's not going to be deep. Because the pot's just not big enough when you've got Joshua taking that bigger percentage of the pie.
Exactly. It's like every time Joshua's fighting now, and literally I'll go on Box Rec, and I'm like, right, Joshua's fine, he's got a good opponent, I'm going to see who's on the undercard. I look at it, I think, what the fucking hell's that? It's a shit undercard. It's just like, nah. It's just like, I'm not even watching it, not even go pay, go to the pub or anything, watch that, sod that. Pointless.
If the cards were backed, like the main, don't get us wrong, Sky do really good shows, and some of the cards are fantastic. But if they did back these big fights up with a deeper card, and like, because it's not just that. When you're looking at that card as well, the fights on 50-50. It's like
yeah, exactly. It's like, basically, I'll use this example. Bieber, the board I'm with, they won most of their fights on each show 50-50. So it's like, I'm in my fourth fight, I'm fighting somebody who's 121. 121, lost 18, drawn 1. He's knocked out 14 out of his 21. He's a good kid, he's been in there.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's not a genuine because he's got a winning record.
Yeah, of course.
And then you've got, like, how can I put it, you've got, like, the female contest, the two unbeaten fighters against each other. Then you've got two unbeaten heavyweights and stuff like that. I'll get the fight card up now on my phone. Where is it? I've got the fight card somewhere, I think. Right, so we've got, on my undercard, we've got Lee McCandless, who's fighting an opponent to be announced. Then you've got Paul Pierce, my manager, who's won 7, lost 5, but his record doesn't speak words for how good he is.
Yeah.
Against Julio Bendani, who's won 7, lost 2. That's a pretty good fight.
Yeah. That sounds great, actually.
Then you've got, obviously, me against Wilmer Gonzalez. Then you've got Calvin Crothers, who's won 1, lost 2. Against Paris Stavropoulos, I think it is, who's won 2, lost 1, which is again 50-50.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Jack Jones against Lee Cooper, who's won 2, lost 3, which is quite 50-50. And then you've got someone who's won 10, lost 12, drawn 2, against someone who's won 20, lost 14, drawn 2. Now, to me, that's quite a 50-50 card, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. There's none like where there's 13 and like 72 losses.
There's any mismatches.
Mm-hmm.
No, exactly. And then like the show on the cruise ship, I'm fighting against someone who's got a winning record.
Yeah.
And then you've got Caitlin Ferran, who's part of Paul Mine and Paul Pierce's stable. She's 1-0 at the moment, but by the time she goes on that, she'll be probably 4 or 5-0.
Excellent.
And she's fighting Maya Wyoming, who's 10-1, but she's currently the WBA international champion.
Crikey.
Oh, big fight then.
Do you know what I mean? So you got some really, really good fights on there.
Brilliant, that.
It's just, I think the British Boxing Board are going in the wrong direction. They're trying to pad everyone's records so they look like we're the most dominant country in the world. Then when we come up against the Americans, or the Mexicans, or the Puerto Ricans, we're coming unstuck.
Yeah, falling short.
Yeah, because we're not used to getting taken into that dark place in a boxing match where you've got to dig deep in.
You've actually got to fight for it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm quite glad I haven't got an amateur record where I've like won 70, lost 10.
Yeah.
Because I was taking fights week after week after week. So I think it was 7 or 8 fights on the bounce where I fought nothing but England internationals.
Wow.
So I was like, I think it was 6 or 7 I had on the bounce, England internationals, and I won 4, lost 3, or won 3, one of the 2. But to me, that's teaching me that you can't win them all, but you've got to find a way to win them. And if you want to win, you've got to fight. And plus, I know. Yeah. Against those England internationals, because I've always fought like a pro, I know if it was a pro fight, I'd absolutely pace them. To me, I've always, I just think like people want things too easy in boxing. It's like people with unbeaten records, like, oh no, I'm not going to fight him, he's got an unbeaten record.
No, like, fuck that, get in, see if you can fucking take his own man.
Exactly. It's like my manager Paul said, he was listening, he goes, oh, we want tough fights, Steve. So basically, he wants me to fight this guy, who's a bit of a banger. Then he's trying to get me some fight against someone who's 6-0. So, 6-0, 4 knockouts. So I don't care. I'll fight anyone.
No, that's honestly, that's the best kind of frame of mind to have.
Which is why I like the prize fighting, because that was sorting the men out from the boys.
Aye.
Most
definite.
Most
It's, I don't know, it's just, I just think boxing is getting down the wrong route. In this country, anyway, with the British Boxing Board, they're trying to prove that they're the dominant force, but they aren't in retrospect. Because these whole padded records against people that have won 1, lost 27, drawn 1.
Give it the foot. It's cherry picking, isn't it?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, he's keeping genuine in the sport, and he's boxing going, but you should say the first 4 or 5 fights are genuine, and after that you're going to have to step up a bit.
You hit the nail on the head before, like if you're giving all these low-level fighters, like, that's what you'll be performing like at that level, fighting those people. As soon as you go up a competition, you're just going to get fucking wiped out. So while you've got the chance, you might as well fight the best of the best.
Exactly, it's like when I fought Robbie Davies Jr. Obviously, don't get me wrong, we were 17, 18 years old. He's changed a lot now, but I know back then, I said to my dad, when I beat him, I fought him like it was a pro fight.
Yeah.
When I fought him at Liverpool, I tried to box him. And someone who's 5'10" and frigging 10 stone, and I'm 5'4" and 10 stone, it's not going to happen. Or he might do, but he'd have to. I tried dragging him into a dogfight because I tried boxing too much. I did it too late. But when I boxed him, it was like a pro fight, it was a different story. Johnny, it's just like, when you want something, you just got to go out and get it rather than just try to say, oh no, I'm getting to it, I'll fight, I was way up dead easy. Nah, fuck that.
You've got to seek it. You've got to seek the best. Look at the fighters from the past. People still worry about this. When you're fighting the best, you've got to expect you could lose. I mean, the best fighters throughout the history of the sport have lost, and that's because they've fought the best.
It's exactly the best fight the best. There's got to be a loser. Someone who's got to lose the fight.
Exactly. It's that saying, to be the best, you've got to beat the best.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
There you are.
So to me, it's like people are like, oh, I don't want to lose me out. But to me, I'm like, well, have you lost a fight as an amateur? Yeah. Well, you know what it's like to taste defeat, don't you?
Exactly.
You go again. Didn't stop you as an amateur, so why is it going to stop you as a pro? Isn't that? The only difference is there's ticket sales because it's a popularity contest, but you just start again, don't you? You rack up a few more wins and then you start again with your ticket sales.
Yeah, build that confidence right back up.
Exactly.
It's definitely worth taking the big fights because at the end of the day, how do you know that you're not like the best if you don't take that shot anyways?
Exactly.
Anything can happen in boxing. One punch never can change a fight. One punch can change a life. This is just the sport that we live in.
Exactly. And
anything can happen.
And one win against a good opponent can change your life.
Exactly. Bang on. You've got to take that risk. So there it is, mate. Big shout out to you, Nathan Russo. Big man taking all the big fights. Keep doing it. Keep smashing it.
Is that fight on the cruise ship? Which one is 180? Lost 11, draw 1. He's fought for world title. I previously said no one does that. Fuck that. So the first thing I said to my manager says, fuck, he smacks that prick.
Right. That's the side of
That's just me.
Right, lads, honestly, we could talk all night, but it's starting to like taper now because we're gonna start running out of bandwidth, like memory to upload. Nathan, we must get you back on, buddy. I was just about to say that.
I'll spend the weekend with you and we'll do that. Before Christmas, when I've got all my fights, and I'll come up, we'll have the baby with you and we'll have a birthday fucking podcast day.
That's spot on, Nathan. Much appreciated, fella. Thanks for coming on to the podcast, pal.
And thank you very much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem.